Hello friends, today we will discuss congestion charging. Road transport sector accounts for almost 87% of passenger traffic and 60% of freight movement. And there is a direct relationship between GDP of a country and vehicle growth. Now these data are for India and you just concentrate on these two lines where this yellow line shows GDP of the country between 1995 and 2015 with a base value of 100 taken at 1995, and this red one shows the car registration, and you can see that there is a direct correlation between GDP. As GDP increases, the population of traffic or vehicle growth also increases in the country. Now, if you look at this, how the growth of total number of registered two-wheelers have increased between 2001 and 2011, it's a CAGR of almost 10% cumulative annual growth rate. And similarly, for four-wheelers, this growth rate is almost 11.5%. Now, what are the effects of this vehicular growth? There are many undeniable positive effects of GDP on the country's development, but it has also led to a massive increase in motor vehicle travel and associated traffic problems, especially in large cities. In 1920, the total number of vehicles in Delhi was 11,892,877. And out of these, almost 82 lakh were two-wheelers and 34 lakhs were cars. Now, these vehicles have resulted in severe local air pollution and traffic congestion, as well as increasing parking problems and accident cost. Due to traffic congestion, people are forced to incur extra expenditure in the form of additional working hour, additional transportation cost, additional fuel consumption, and additional vehicle operating cost. Economic effects of this vehicular growth or congestion are very severe. In 2018, it was estimated that sitting in traffic cost almost $87 billion in America. And in the same year, a study conducted by global consultancy firm for India found that traffic congestion during peak hours in four major cities of Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore and Kolkata cost the economy around 1.47 lakh crore annually. Another study conducted in 2018 by CRRI shows a whopping loss of 17 million rupees per day due to idling of vehicles at 100 major intersections in Delhi. And I can tell you that there are 1,000 intersections in Delhi alone. You can imagine this amount for the entire country. Now, this congestion result in pollution also, and not just air pollution. Sitting in traffic jams could cause lung cancer too, and that is as per a report published in Indian Express in February 2020. One study conducted found that pollution levels inside cars can be up to 40% higher, with drivers being exposed up to 29 times more harmful pollution particles while in traffic jams as compared to free-flowing traffic conditions. So now you can imagine the problem of traffic growth. Now, what is traffic congestion? Traffic congestion is characterized by slower speeds, longer trip times, and increased vehicular queuing. In transportation engineering, congestion usually relates to an excess of vehicles on a portion of roadway at a particular time, resulting in speeds that are slower, sometimes much slower than normal or free flow speeds. And congestion often means stopped or stop and go traffic. Congestion occurs due to demand-supply imbalance. When traffic demand is more than capacity of the road, congestion will occur. So every road has some limits on its capacity. And just for explanation, let us assume that this limit is 1500 cars per hour. So if 1400 cars try to use the road, there are no capacity problems and everything works fine because the traffic on that particular road is less than the capacity. But during rush hours, there may be 1600 cars attempting to access the road at once. Now then congestion occurs and traffic will slow down to a crawling speed. Now this affects not only the last 200 cars which are joining this road, but also the 1400 original drivers. Now the question is how to persuade these 200 drivers of this total 1600 cars to shift their road usage outside the rush hour, or maybe use some public transport system so that remaining 1400 vehicles will be able to enjoy short and predictable journey times. Now one way of achieving this is to ban their entry completely, and that can be done by several policy measures like odd and even system which was adopted once in Delhi. But this system does not work well because it does not take into account the requirement of people to travel. An alternate way of dealing with issue would be to impose a fee on every driver that wants to use the road during the rush hour, that is peak hour. And this fee could be set to such an amount that these 200 drivers might decide to do something else than driving on this particular road during peak hour. The income from these fees can be used, for example, to improve public transit, invest in bicycle infrastructure, or to resolve other infrastructure bottlenecks. So general premise of congestion charging is like this. Each traveler makes travel decisions which are in his or her own best interest. But these decisions also have consequences for others. I gave you example of 200 drivers joining 1400 drivers. Now these 200 drivers will have effect on 1400 drivers also. When people drive cars, they contribute to road damage, emit harmful pollutants, noise and vibrations, and cause delays for others. Now considering this, the travel decision of one individual imposes cost on others. In most transport systems, the cost imposed on others are not fully paid for by the traveler. Congestion charging is a way to put such cost on drivers. That is the general premise or theory of congestion charging. There are three issues to be understood before you go for congestion charging. Number one, throughput of a road decreases with too high levels of demand. As traffic volume on a road increases and approaches capacity, throughput of this road is the highest. I mean, the capacity, when the traffic flow is at capacity, the output from or throughput of the road is maximum. At heavy congestion and in stop and go situation, the capacity of the road becomes significantly lower. Means traffic volume which can be accommodated is very low. This implies that same road is capable of higher throughput when traffic flow does not stall or it is not in a situation of stop and go. Number two, the relationship between traffic flow and travel time is non-linear. Now this is explained in this figure. Up to a particular traffic volume, travel time does not depend on flow. And this is the traffic volume where drivers are free to choose their speed. Generally LOSB. Now when traffic volume increases beyond this limit, travel time increases exponentially. So Every extra vehicle on a road leads to a higher increase in travel time than the previous vehicle. This also implies that it is not necessary to reduce the number of vehicles by half in order to reduce congestion by half. And third point is that congestion is both temporal and spatially bound. Congestion occurs at a specific point in the network and at specific times. This implies that policies to reduce congestion need to be adaptive to time and place in order to be most efficient. The philosophy of congestion charging is that the amount of charge will change with the degree of congestion based on average speed of vehicles measured on roads. If the speed of vehicles is above the agreed reference level, it is assumed that the congestion charge is overcompensating in reducing traffic, and therefore the congestion charges are cut. If the speed falls below, it is assumed that congestion is very high, so the charge is increased. Now, there are several types of congestion pricing, and the most implemented forms of congestion pricing projects worldwide are like this. It can be a flat rate tollways, or it can be a congestion pricing. And congestion pricing can be of different types: a cordon pricing, area-wide pricing, high occupancy toll lanes, variable tolls on entire roadway, or time, distance and or place-based pricing. I will explain each of these very briefly in the coming slides. The first is flat rate tollways. Now, this system is not considered as a form of congestion pricing because it aims to generate revenue and not to mitigate or manage traffic congestion. Charges are fixed and do not fluctuate according to time or location and can be collected either manually or electronically using the transporter technology. And this is generally you see on a toll road, when a fixed amount of toll is collected by a vehicle for using a particular road. Now there, the objective is to collect the revenue, not to manage the traffic. The cordon pricing. In this method, charge is levied whenever a vehicle enters the city. Charging points are located at the entrances of an imaginary zone drawn around a congested area. Charges are flexible and will vary according to vehicle type, time of the day, location and direction traveled. One aspect of this policy is restriction of actual growth of automobile usage through levying a charge on travelers when they cross the priced zone. The cordon pricing in London and Stockholm have been very successful in reducing congestion levels and travel time, and also generating revenue to support transport strategies in these two cities. Next is area-wide pricing. Now, it is different from cordon pricing in that it charges travelers a fixed fee for traveling across the cordon area for an unlimited number of journeys into and within the zone. Now, this toll strategy imposes cordon crossing charges for entering a certain geographical area. Now, this is similar to what Municipal Corporation of Delhi has adopted. Whenever a commercial vehicles enter Delhi from any direction, it will charge a fixed price, and that is for entering into the city. It doesn't matter how many trips it makes inside the city. It is less effective than the cordon pricing at reducing congestion since the fees are fixed and do not change with the number of trips to and from the priced zone. The next is high occupancy toll lane. Now, in this method, certain lanes are earmarked for shared car use. Ride-sharing travelers can use HOT lanes for free or at a discount, while single occupant vehicles or those that do not meet the minimum passenger occupancy requirements to access the lanes must pay. All vehicles still will have the choice to travel in free, parallel or general purpose lanes. This strategy is implemented in many cities of United States, and this type of strategy encourages people to use carpooling and transit system as an alternative to driving alone. Variable toll on entire roadway. This strategy depends on changing higher rate during peak periods than off-peak periods, and it applies to existing toll roads and bridges to control traffic flow and manage the highway capacity. This aims to encourage drivers to shift to off-peak periods when they use the roads, allowing for traffic during peak period to flow more freely. And the last one is time, distance, and or place-based pricing. In this method, travelers are charged based on the distance traveled, location, vehicle time, and time of the day, and sometimes even day of the week also. This system is implemented in Germany for all heavy-duty trucks operating on national system. Netherlands is also in the process of developing this system for its entire street and road network. There are many technologies that can be used for road user charging or congestion charging. The first one is automatic number plate recognition system. Now, in this system, a beacon mounted on roadside equipment communicates with the electronic tag fitted in the vehicle, and when the vehicle passes a charging point, the registration plate of the vehicle is captured by this reader and charged accordingly. It is similar to fast tag system being used on our highways nowadays. Advantage of this method is that no onboard equipment is required, but disadvantage is that it is not flexible or adaptable. The toll remains constant throughout the day and throughout the month. It requires the driver to opt in, and sometimes accurate readings are difficult, particularly in poor weather conditions, insufficient lighting, or non-standardized license plate fonts. The second method is dedicated short range communication system, that is also called DSRC. Now, this is a wireless communication technology designed to allow vehicles in the intelligent transport system to communicate with other vehicles or with infrastructure. It operates at 5.8 gigahertz radio frequency and is very effective over short to medium distances. Now here this is the communication beacon, and the vehicle has an onboard unit on windscreen. When the vehicle passes through this point, it communicates with this beacon and vehicle account number is transferred, or the fee is directly transferred from onboard unit to roadside system. For vehicles which are not fitted with the onboard unit, the registration plate is captured by this camera and then bill is sent to their home address. Advantage of this method is that the charge can be automatically deducted for a registered account holder. It is flexible and easy to make changes to the changing tariff. The disadvantage is the problem for occasional users who have to fit the device into their cars. So if you are not a regular user of the highway, then you have to unnecessarily fit the device on your windscreen. The next one is Global Navigation Satellite System, GNSS. It uses a GPS and a two-way communication link. Here charges for using any road are collected through GNSS sensors which are fitted inside the vehicle. Through this technology, the distance-based pricing is possible, and there are many advantages of this technology. Virtual charging points can be created that do not require roadside equipment. And with an automatic system, a much more detailed pricing system can be devised according to the time of entry, distance, place of the vehicle, and prevailing pollution, etc. And Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, Government of India is also considering to install this technology on national highways in the country so that toll can be charged based on the length of the highway used by a road user. So friends, thank you very much for watching this video. You can write your suggestion in the comment box.